The one thing we understand is the 5 steps of aligning a person with the job: finding, attracting, aligning, developing, retaining. You can't have a great, remarkable experience with an employee if you don't learn all 5 disciplines. I sat through this Wharton How to Scale a Business to a Unicorn Business in 5 years, and I got kicked off in the first week because I asked the same question I always ask anybody who's going to tell me how to do anything, which is, what's the most amount of money you've ever made in a year? What's the biggest thing you've ever built, quantified by number of employees, revenue, and profitability? And third, what's the biggest exit? And then all of a sudden I asked the instructor a question: why is a dentist with a $3 million business that went to Wharton teaching everybody how to create a $1 billion business? It seems logical, doesn't it? Why isn't there somebody from Wharton that built a $1 billion business teaching us how to build a $1 billion business? Because I already know those that can't do can't teach. It's all bullshit. And thank God my dad's like, if you don't want to go to college, that's fine, but then you're getting your ass out of the house or you're going to go get a job, right? And that's what I did. I moved to Atlanta from Oregon, went away from all the comfort. I lived on the road. I made sales calls. I lived out of a car for 3 years. It was the greatest job you could have at 19 years old. I had a company car, a company credit card, no parents to tell me what to do, and every single town I got to explore whatever was in that town. I think sometimes you got to get uncomfortable to cut your way. Do you agree? I'm an open book. Anybody wants to question anything we're teaching? We've run 2,300 businesses through our 10X 360 program in 40 months. If while you're there, or you take our Finance Essentials program, you want to sit with my finance team and you want to go, I want to question your numbers. I want to go through every single month and I want to see what your revenues are. I want to see what your profitability is. I want to see what your average revenue per employee is. I want to see your exact matrix. Let's go. Because I ain't scared. But if you just take my word for it, I'm going to tell you something. Would you agree that if somebody is willing to lead by example, it's the purest form of the ability to learn faster? True or false? So let's look at our Cardone Ventures breakpoints. Year 0, we launched the business halfway through 2019. In our first 6 months, we did $2.5 million. You see, I was building to the breakpoints where most of you start your business and you build it from the inside out. I said to Grant with Natalie, the first conversation we had, in 60 months, we're going to build a $100 million company, and when we do that, we'll have 200 employees, and then when we have $100 million in revenue with 200 employees, we're going to $1 billion 60 months later. And you know how many people have said things like that to Grant? Do you think a lot? When I say it to you, how many of you have your bullshit meter go off? Let's be honest. Okay, so here's the numbers, just so you know. Ground zero, $2.5 million. Year 1, COVID. We saved thousands of businesses during COVID. It's actually what put us on the map. I called Grant, and he says, set up TVs, set up Zoom channels, set up each room differently, put your different experts in different rooms, write an ebook on how to save businesses or something, put it out, and then just go 24/7 crazy online. And then what we did is we put a tarp over my garage, and we snuck them into Washington, and we snuck them into the tarp and opened the garage doors where I had all my Ferraris and cool shit. And guess what? We had helicopters flying around trying to shut us down. We had cops showing up at the bottom of my gate. My dad standing there with his gun. This is private property. So we did it all. True or false, Dad? You're my lie detector. He loves that gun. What are you doing here? Jim Dawson, private ranch. Many of our clients snuck into Oregon and went over the state line and snuck into the house, and we kept all the cars away from the property. We had vans at grocery stores picking people up because they were tracing and tracking everybody to put them in jail. Shit, we ran meetings all summer long. Then when Dallas opened, we started running meetings in Dallas. And then when Florida opened, we started running meetings in Florida. We went and bought an airplane. We're like, shit, we're flying everywhere. We got to take our whole team. We started flying 10 people around everywhere we went. It was a crew of 10, and we were just doing meetings after meetings after meetings. 14 million. 2021, 38 million. We just ended 2022, 83 million. You notice how I'm jumping breakpoints? You know why I can do that? Because I know what's going to happen in each breakpoint. But you know I'm not trying to jump 3 breakpoints. You know why? Because people don't understand building a business is starting, growing it, optimizing it, scaling it, and then exiting it. It's a 6-step process. Do you know what gets all businesses in trouble? They forget step 3, optimizing. Anytime someone's like, man, I'm just growing, I'm getting huge. A year later, like, shit, I'm broke. And there's a few people in here that know that I'm talking about you right now, and that's why you're back. because you learn from it. Good news is you made it happen. You can make it happen again. Our run rate right now is putting us at about 150 million. So we'll be over the 100 million mark in 4.5 years, not 5. We currently have 200 employees through all the different brands that we've created. Because we understand this. We understand that most businesses don't start with a strategy. Your strategy is, I don't want a boss, I don't want to be told what to do, I need to get a phone number, I need to set up a landing page, I need a website, I need this cool logo I'm going to revise 45 times. See, you know, I know. Say 10X if you're one of those people. Yeah, see, we all know you are. You're all those people. But see, what I didn't even know about marketing. That's why I partnered with Grant. Grant was a genius. I didn't put 35,000 people in a stadium, so I knew that was my weakness. No matter how good I was, one of the things you have to be smart and succeed is understand your limitations. Would you agree? I'm not the global authority on marketing or sales. Grant was. But you know what we do really well is we know how to do operations. We've built technology platforms and systems and things that nobody else had. We also know how to build businesses without needing anybody else's money because we teach the discipline of having your business fund the growth of your business. We also know a lot about people. My wife put a book out called Teamwork. And the reason we know about people is because another thing I started with my dad, it seems like it was like 2008 or 2009 when we started this whole core value indexing. So we've been working on something now, 13 years that we were manually doing and went to full automation just in the last 3 months. Sometimes shit happens over a long period of time, but you never take your eye off target. How do you think we went from no employees to 200 employees at Cardone Ventures? And those employees are remarkable, by the way, the best people I've ever worked with. And the ones that don't want to be the best, well, we have a culture that our current people, because they're pursuing their personal, professional, and financial goals through the success of the business, because the one thing we understand is the 5 steps of aligning a person with the job: finding, attracting, aligning, developing, retaining. You can't have a great, remarkable experience with an employee if you don't learn all 5 disciplines. They will kick the bottom third out because they're in their way of success. There's an old adage, you can't walk on somebody if they ain't already laying down. You know that story? Well, you can't feel bad about it because your job is to build a high-valued enterprise where everyone can share. And if people can't pursue their goals that are trying to pursue their goals in your business, they have no choice but to leave. So then we also understand about leadership. I was a horrible leader in my first business. The person that taught me to become a remarkable leader was Dr. John Maxwell. And see, the reason I was able, I think, from a credibility standpoint, to have a conversation with Grant Cardone is because after John Maxwell spoke in 2019, he pulled Natalie and I upstage in front of 35,000 people and made all this little commotion. And Grant's like, who the hell are those guys? What are they doing? Should I throw my security at them? Maybe we should just shoot them. Whatever he was thinking. And John called me. He said, I told him if he gets a chance to meet you, A, he could believe everything you tell him, and B, you're my dearest friend. Why? Because I started working with John. He was my mentor through his book. Then I started working with him. And then in 2013, I sent my whole team into his office. Natalie was there, and there was like 14 of us working with his executive team, and we built his annual plan in 1 day, reformatted his finances, his strategy, everything on this chart. We did it in 1 day, and his business doubled in a year. He's like, well, you know what you're doing. Let's do some meetings together. When my stepmother, God bless her, was passing away, the last phone call you got was John to pray over. True or false? He is a lovely man. But see, despite all that, there was something that we were still missing until my wife pointed it out. With the most annoying person I'd ever seen on the internet. I love being around it because it makes me realize context, contrast, the 2 things you need to get big. And you only get context and contrast when you actually get to experience it. Now, for the business owners that we work with, I would prefer that you trust us on the context contrast and you don't go out and experience it through trial and error, because it's not only painful for you, it can be devastating to your family, to the ones you love, to the people who trust you, follow you, honor you, and want to be like you. It's just messy. See, these 10 elements come into play at each breakpoint. You may be great at being a leader with 6 people, but that has nothing to say what it's going to be like to be leadership when you have 600. The only way for your business to grow and scale is for the owner to grow and scale, because the owner is the lid, the owner is the cap. And in order for your business to get huge, it moves from me leadership. I got to push myself. I got to command of myself. I have to be successful. It's my duty. It's my responsibility. But I'm still going to stay small if I can't transfer that from me leadership to we leadership and get other people to do what I was doing. But that's the gift, because those people don't have people showing them how to succeed. You get the opportunity to be that for them. And then like attracts like. something magical starts happening. And all of a sudden you're like, man, I love the people I work with. We're killing it. We're crushing it. They're actually coming in early and staying late and trying to bump me out of the office so they can prove to me I can trust them so that one day maybe I'll take care of them. When I sold my business, the best day of my life was wiring out. See, instead of taking private equity money to build my company, I gave equity to my clients for doing business with me. I wired $38 million in cash out when I closed on my business to my customers as a thank you. I wired $15 million out to my employees as a thank you. And so now, what do you think my reputation is when I'm standing in front of the Cardone Ventures team and I'm like, hey, why would you want to work with me? Go watch the podcast with my president, first job he ever had. He had to endure having 8 bosses and suck it up and learn from them and become a masterful leader, and he wanted to quit 8 different times, but he kept himself in the game. And when we sold the business, he made $11 million. Do you want to be the next Mason? Because we're going to have 100 companies, not one. And so if you want a culture where people are striving to succeed, create a big enough vision.